Hello and welcome to Simply Astrology. Today we're going to have a look at a very interesting question that's just recently come to light. An Australian astronomer has put forward a theory to propose a date that Jesus Christ was most likely to have been born on. Now this is based on the way the Bible tells the story, in particular the incident with the star that slowly moved across the sky, a star that was very bright, unusually bright. How could this be? And his theory is that the planet Jupiter was sitting behind the evening star, or the planet Venus, and together the two made a very bright light in the sky. And this is what people took to be the Star of Bethlehem. Now, if that scientist is correct, then this is the horoscope of Jesus Christ, and he was born on the 17th of June in the year 2 BC. This makes Jesus a Gemini, Sun in Gemini. Gemini has abilities to communicate and relate very well, also to explain and teach. According to Chinese astrology, he was born in the year of the sheep. The sheep is artistic but also gentle, appreciative, true and sincere, peaceful and spiritual. These are attributes strongly associated with the sheep. We see that Jesus had a birth force of a 7, based on his birth date. The 7 is a seeker of truth. The scientist does it by looking at things externally and seeing what the truth is. The monk does it within and reflects on what the truth is. Both do it with a sense of detachment and dispassion. Now, the Magi of the day knew the meaning of many of the planets that we know. They knew the meaning of Jupiter, which is about higher values, ethics, also joy, also expansiveness, and mostly goodwill. And right beside it, right in front of it, in this particular day, was Venus, which simply amplifies the very positive qualities of Jupiter. In fact, the Magi knew that these two planets together are the most positive combination you can find in the zodiac, and for them to be one behind the other is about as positive as it can possibly get. The Magi also knew about the moon. And the moon, let's get some keywords for the moon, eh? The moon is about care and love, and about compassion, of course when it's at its best. And so here we see somebody who, with the Venus and Jupiter in the sign of Leo, which adds qualities of leadership to these very positive dimensions, we see a leader who is very positive and very compassionate and very caring, and being with the moon in Sagittarius, that being a fire sign, as is Leo, this is a person of action, who somebody will take initiative in expressing and doing something about compassion. But of course, Jesus' biggest credential is spiritual. He was a spiritual being, and when we look at spirituality, we look at the planet Neptune. And the Magi didn't know about Neptune or its position at the time. But we see Neptune connects up very nicely with Mercury, which is the planet to do with communication. It's the planet which rules Gemini. They're very similar in meaning. So we see here somebody who can communicate about spirituality very well. There's a very close relationship there in terms of how close they are to this very positive angle or relationship. These two planets also are in what we call water signs, Cancer and Scorpio. Water signs, again, indicate sensitivity. Let's have a quick look. Compassion, one of their key words. Taking the key words, somebody who spoke, Mercury, compassionately, water signs, about spirituality. This is astrology at its most basic. We can add in that Mars, the planet of action and of doing things, also in Cancer, also in this place of care. We could say that this was a person who did spiritual deeds. We can also take note of the fact that the planet Uranus is also in a water sign, which spells a strong relationship between these planets that we've just looked at. although in terms of degrees the connection isn't as strong, because this planet is also in a water sign, it's in the same frequency, it's in the same type of expression. Now, interestingly, the planet Uranus, which has to do with the wider audience, with multitudes, you might say, among a number of other meanings, was in Pisces. So here we have spiritual communication to the masses, speaking about spiritual or compassionate things because of the water signs. Again, from an astrological perspective, looking at it at the most simplest level, we see this makes sense. This would be congruent with Jesus Christ. Jesus was a healer. Again, the Magi didn't know about Pluto, but we know about it today, and we know that again, among other of its attributes, it does have to do with regeneration or healing. And we see Pluto has a smaller but very definitely a positive connection with Neptune, spiritual healing. We see it also has a positive connection with Mercury, speak the word of healing. This is an excellent fit for somebody who had the credentials of Jesus Christ. But was it all smooth sailing? Well, we know that it wasn't. And the Sun, which represents his personal nature, his individuality, his personhood, oddly enough, was at risk the more he interacted with the multitudes. In a sense, the people for whom he had strong spiritual messages was personally at risk from the same group that he spoke to. And when we see him doing healing work, he was also putting himself at risk. And again, here we can see the connection between these planets, which is at the simplest level a stress connection. If it's maintained for a long time, becomes a very negative connection. And of course, as he went on speaking to the public, doing miracles, he was putting himself at personal risk. We could say more, but it's pretty clear from very basic astrological interpretational methods. This is a very good fit of somebody who, if they were born this day, could well have been Jesus Christ.